And we're live. Hello, everybody. Christine and I are back. Yay!
Yeah. And this time, just let things go with the flow.
Yes, that's the goal. That's the goal. The other things didn't work. And if you don't believe us that it doesn't work, check out the last video because then you will see it didn't work.
Yeah, it is funny, isn't
It is
it?
funny. It is funny. Yeah. And it's interesting because I think I told you we were looking at the numbers on our YouTube channel, what people are watching and yes or no. And there's all these, YouTube gurus and they say, oh, you have to do this and you have to do that. And one of the things that they always say is you have to, when you start a video, you have to tell the people what it is about because otherwise they will go away because they're like, oh, what's happening? And actually, that's very interesting because for us that doesn't work. We never know what we're gonna talk about. So, people, if you expect to hear from us what we're gonna talk about up front, we don't know. So, if you want to know more about that and how that's working, please keep watching because then you will know how that works.
Yeah,
So,
you might even be curious what your chart is, or what your purpose or human design information is. So you can look that up at Yokian Archive and or at uniqueresearch.com. So we'll see.
yes, yes, yes. Well, you can see the down here, there. You can see the link to unique research.com and find all kinds of information that might be, well, I know it will be interesting, by the way. It might not be interesting. I know it will be
Oh,
interesting.
it is interesting. It is for us. It is interesting. I
It's
don't want to be judgmental, because if I say it is
interesting.
interesting, actually it's a judgment. I am a judgmental. So, but I can always express my own opinion. So my opinion is I find it very interesting, and it changed my life.
Yeah.
Like we already told you guys for a million times.
True, 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 true. So, what are you up to? What's
Yeah,
your life looking like?
I am great. It is a very interesting time. Don't you agree?
Yes, it is. A
It is.
lot of things happening.
Sorry.
A lot of things are happening.
Yeah, still, of course, it was already like that, but I do, I do also think that things are, yeah, it's kind of stirring up. It's kind of, it's shaking, and a lot of, and I see myself, but I also see a lot of people around me. Um, they are kind of forced to come more into their own core, and I believe that has, yeah, it has a meaning for me, I think. But this is my feeling. My feeling is that a lot of will happen this year. So and we do need to be yeah, to be steady. So so then we need to be in our core more and more. We need to know who are we, what do we need, and yeah. And again, guys, if if you want to know who you are, what you want, yeah, you first, if you want to know who you are and what you need as a person, as a human, yeah, you can dig in and experience with the human design, and yeah, and then you can also learn more about other things like energy, kind of energy related things, to get to know more and more what we really are, because I am of opinion that we we more and more need to be in our heart, especially this year.
Yeah. Yeah, because people, and I did that for a long time too. You're looking outside yourself for answers and guidance and people telling you what to do, what not to do, and whatever. And what I notice for myself is when we know as human beings what to do and what is good for us, as a person, and nobody else actually knows that. So if you want to, follow your own path and decide for yourself what's good for you as a person, as a human being, you are the only one who can do that. There's no outside agent, government, or people like in your husband or your mother or father or whatever, who will know what is good for you. You only know what's good for you if you really check in with yourself and what is your heart longing for, and what is it that you need out of life. And then you are also responsible for creating that in your life. There's nobody else that can take responsibility for how your life is feeling, how your life is showing up. Yeah, you have to reboot.
Sorry, but that will take 1 second.
Yeah, so I can continue on about that because that's something that I'm finding out. I had this experience like in the last week, and it was about taking responsibility. And I have the gift of responsibility. And what the downside of the gift of responsibility is that I tend to take responsibility for other people's lives. So, for example, if I have a friend who is like doing stuff that is not healthy for her, then I would take responsibility and try to get her to do stuff for her own health. But it doesn't work like that because she has to take her responsibility and make choices that will be good for her health. And no matter what I'm telling her, it doesn't work like that. She has to feel like, okay, this is good for me or not. We are human. We have a choice. We can always, choose for ourselves. And we might make wrong choices. That happens, again, we're human. But being responsible for yourself and not for the other is a big theme in my life right now. And I have a very good example of that because at the moment I'm sharing my house with someone, and that person has lost the keys for the house like 3 times. And every time I would, if the person left his keys, or lost his keys, I was like, okay, I will wait up and wait and wait around, and the person will come at 11, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the night, and that meant that he would call me and say like, okay, I'm coming home, and then 2 hours later he still wasn't there, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and felt responsible because I was like, yeah, he doesn't have a key and he cannot get into the house, so I have to be the responsible one and wait and whatever. And I noticed that with the gift of rhythm that I have, that I need to have my own rhythm. So my rhythm was constantly, interrupted, and it started to affect my health and my energy, and everything was going like down the drain really quickly. And in I started blaming him. I was like, yeah, and then you have to do this, and you have to do that, and you have to do, and blah, 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 blah. And nothing happened. Nothing. So I got like angry and I got frustrated because I was like, why isn't he doing it? Why isn't it important to him? That he knows that I need my sleep. He knows this and he knows that. And at some point, I woke up and I was done with it because that night he called me like 4 or 5 times, and in the end, he didn't even come home. And I was like, okay, my night is, I slept maybe 3 or 4 hours. So I was awake in the morning and I was very tired and I felt really grumpy. And at that point, it hit me, and I was like, wait a minute, I am trying to, um, be responsible for him and telling him every time he needs to do this, he needs to do that, but he didn't. And then I was like, wait a minute. The only thing that I have control over is myself. And so he came in like an hour later, and I said, okay, we need to sit down. And I, I set him down on the chair, and I was like, okay, what I need is my rhythm, my own rhythm. That's for me to be healthy, to be happy, to have energy in my life. I need to follow my own rhythm. I cannot follow yours. That's your rhythm. I need to follow mine, and that has consequences. So what I told him was like, okay, he said that like one keys was at a friend's house, and I said, okay, you keep telling me that it's at a friend's house, and but you never pick it up, and that's okay, you know, you do you, but of since or from the next day, it was Monday, this was next last Monday, so from Tuesday evening, I will turn off my phone at 11 when I go to bed, and I will turn off the doorbell because otherwise he will come and use the doorbell, and I still be awake to open the door. And I said, so it's up to you. Whatever you do with this information, if you don't do anything, that means you are coming after 11. Then you are not you're not being able to get into the house and sleep or whatever you want to do. And he was like, yeah, okay, that's good. That was a conversation. It was like 5 minutes. And he was very like, okay, no, that's clear for me, and I understand what you're saying. So the next 3 days, he was way before 11, he was home, still no key. And then at like the fourth night, it came to 11, and I didn't hear from him. And I was like, okay, now I have to do what I said, I cannot waver. It's like with children, if you say something, you need to be consistent because otherwise, they will like, oh, she says this, but she doesn't really mean it. And it was a conversation, I can tell you, with myself, like, yeah, Mariska, you have to put out your phone. But I forgot the doorbell, by the way, because I was in my mind, I was like, oh, I need to do this, this, and that. Then I got distracted by something, so I did put out my phone, but I didn't put out the doorbell. So I went to bed and I slept like a baby because I was like, yeah, I'm doing the things that I was saying that I was supposed to do. And then, like, at 2 a.m., the doorbell rang, and I was like, shit, I forgot to do the doorbell. But I was like, okay, now he knows that I can hear it because he can hear it that it's going. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna pretend that I'm not home. That's not who I am. So I went to the gate, opened it, and I said, you're a very lucky guy." And he was like, "Yeah, I know." He says, "Because you didn't put off the doorbell." And I said, "Oh, that's good that you know that." So next day he arranged the keys, and things are fixed. And now it was funny actually because he came home the next day with the keys, and then he had bought this like it's a keychain with a loop, with a big loop. So he said, "Look, look, look what I bought." He was really proud even about it. He says, "Look, because I can put it on my belt, and then I put the keys inside my trousers. Now I cannot lose them anymore." And it's all because I just said, "Okay, wait, I have to take responsibility for me, for my health, for my, what I need. And there are consequences for the other party if it's not followed." And it actually worked like a charm. And I was like, it was so cool. Yeah. What's your observation, Chris? You have an observation?
No, I don't. I have a question for you because
Yeah.
I know there's a gift of the gift of responsibility. Do you have the gift of responsibility or?
Yeah, I have it. And it's been one of my biggest challenges, the
Yeah,
biggest challenging gift in my life.
yeah, I know.
And I actually found out only like when we were talking about it with the peer meeting, like maybe 1.5 months ago, that because I read it in my purpose paper, of course, that I have that gift, but I never made a connection with it really. I was like, okay. And then talking during the peer meeting, and Monique explaining that one of the shadow sides or the other sides of this gift is that you're feeling responsible for everybody in the world.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was like click, 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 because I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. I was always, because I see what can be improved, I felt also responsible for bringing that proof and telling about the improvements to other people because they needed to know and take responsibility for that, but they didn't. So I tried to take responsibility for them. And also, it showed up big time in my previous relationship because my partner back then, he would work, work, work really hard. It was like a workaholic. And I saw what it did to his health. So I witnessed that. So I would have a lot of, not really conversations, it was more one sided that I would go at him like, you need to take time, you need to relax, you need to take a day off, you need to get your bearings, you need to fill up your battery again, because if you're going at it like this, you will burn out, you will become sick, or even worse. And I would repeat that and repeat that and repeat that. And when Monique talked about the gift of responsibility, that all made sense all of a sudden because I felt responsible for his health, but I am not responsible for his health. He is responsible for his health. And so yeah, that gift made like was very eye opening to me, where I wasn't in flow. I was always being busy and being preoccupied by other people and their responsibility, and not taking my just take my own responsibility, and that's it. And the gift goes even a little bit deeper because it says that when I am responsible for me and only me, I lead by example and show others that they need to do the same for themselves. So for this gift is actually more like a yeah
And
example.
we
Yeah,
have to show people that they are responsible, and we
exactly.
can talk about it. We don't need to because I say we because I have the same I have also this gift, and like your like what you, but I will tell that later, but first I want you to finish your story. But anyway, we have to show them their responsibility and
Yeah,
not taking over their responsibility. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's very important. Yeah.
yeah, and it's tricky because if I've been doing it for so long, because I didn't know that it had to be the other way around, that I only had to be responsible for me. And so it's been like trial and error. It's a lot of trial and error for this gift that I have to go through to learn like how does it show up. And because yeah, it does show up in numerous ways. And all of a sudden now I'm like looking back and I'm like, oh wait, there I'm doing it again, and there I'm doing it again, and now I'm doing it again. So I'm like in the part of becoming aware of this gift, and when it shows up in my life and how I am handling this. And yeah, becoming aware always helps to improve. If you know where you're using it in, not in flow. I don't want to say in the wrong way because there's no right and wrong. It's just that you're not in the flow with this gift. And so it's been interesting, and I love it. But I'm very interested in hearing like examples or example that from you, like with this gift, because I think this is a very important gift to understand how it works.
Yeah, yeah, that's true for me. It was also a very big eye opener, and actually, I I learned uh, I learned to be like a coach for people who has burnout, or so I learned, and I studied that. And one of the biggest yeah, how do you say that? Um, The people who find themselves having a burnout, they are all very responsible. Let me put it this way. But anyway, this is a different story. But to have examples for myself, yeah, I have huge examples. Because I actually, the two biggest examples are first for my children. I I have this, yeah, I have nurturing as a talent. I have nurturing as a talent and responsibility as a gift. So together, woohoo, there's a huge, how do you say that, opportunity to overdo it. And I have the five in my profile. That's with combined with the responsibility, it could become the fixer,
Yeah.
or to be the heroic. You know, the hero. You can start to believe you are a hero and people need you because you are the one that can bring salvation and you can start to fix everything. So, so yeah, I also have the gift of expressing my own feelings. So I have my own way of doing it, and normally I'm exaggerating. So like this. But anyway, so people, you can see a lot of things by example now. Anyway, but those two things are major and were always major in my life and made my life a little bit difficult, more difficult for me. And once I start to be aware of that, after my paper was read by Monique, and I started to be aware of this gift and the downside of this gift, because I recognized it immediately, and I recognized the downside immediately with me, because you know I've had several times, and actually I told you I was lately a little bit uh, on the side of a burnout. So yeah, so the responsibility was way too much again. I think I have the feeling I have, but I don't know exactly. But I, it must be anyway. But I, for the responsibility with my children, yeah, and the nurturing. Oh, but I nurture everybody, my friends, everybody. I feel really responsible for their well-being, always. And it's okay, and it's a very beautiful talent to nurture. Really, I really love it. And normally it is very beautiful, and it does very nice and beautiful things, especially concerning with children and with adolescents. But anyway, combined a little bit with the overdoing with my responsibility, it shows up in my life that I took over their jobs. Like for the example with the keys, if if they don't have the key, so I would give them my key and say, "Oh, this one is working." I just a few minutes ago I did this with my son, but my son is 20 now, and he knows better. He lives by himself, and he knows better now. He has to be a little bit like this from his mother. So I said, "No, I do it myself. I'm okay, mom. I'm okay." So yeah, this is one example, and the other example with the five, combined with the five, is that I take my yeah, the five. When you have the five in your profile, you are an out of the box thinker, and you have solutions for a lot of things which other people don't have. And combined with my purpose, even because with my purpose I have solutions that 100% they work, but there are 100% not proven yet. So They need to be proven if they want to, if they have, if you want them to be accepted by other people, they need to be verified, proven, or whatever. So I can do that. I cannot do that. Other people has to do that. We talked about it before. But combined with my, so the combined with, so I have the purpose, I have the five, and then I have the gift of responsibility. I really can overdo it sometimes, and I really, so somehow I have to admit that I really believe I'm Batman or I'm Superman, Superwoman. So I need to be put down on the air, so on the ground maybe, and don't push myself too hard, because the downside of this is that I push myself of doing things and doing them and resolving them and fix them, and I need to fix this. If I don't do that, the other one is going, I don't know what's going on, but and then I started to know that this is not really the way of doing it. And then I started to learn just to point out the responsibility to them. So I started to just to mention it, like I have to be in response. So I have an example, a very nice example. I was in the gym, and I was in the shower, and we have showers. If you push the button, the shower will start to work, but it will start to work for a while. So the water is running. Anyway, so there was a woman next to me, and she pushed the button, and but then she walked away from the shower, and she started to yeah, to cover herself with soap and with, so the water was just going down the drain. I was I was feeling like, oh my God, what a waste of beautiful water. And then I was thinking, yeah, what should I do? Oh, wait, Chris, you have the gift of responsibility, so you are able to tell them they are responsible. So I kind of mentioned it to the lady just in response. So I told her, like, oh, I see the water just going away and you are not using it. So, and it really hurts me a little bit. I really think it is a waste, but I think it is, for me, it would be a better solution if you think about it the next time, and first you cover yourself with soap and then to push the button. And she accepted it.
Interesting.
So
I think this is an interesting example. I never thought about that actually. But in my previous relationship, and by the way, now it's still, I still do it. Um, when people turn lights on somewhere and they don't use the room, I will walk behind them and turn it off again because I'm like,
yeah,
why is the light on when you're not there? Or water. That was with my ex a lot of times, especially in the beginning. Later he did do it different, but in the beginning he would brush his teeth, but during the brushing he would run, like the tap would run water, 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 and I would be like, turn it off. You're not using the water right now, so just brush your teeth, and when you need water you open it and then you use the water, not, you don't leave it running.
yeah. Or fill a
And
cup with water, fill a cup with water, and then
yeah, but
use
it's
it. Yeah.
interesting that you
Okay.
actually have the same. So there's even things that go way beyond, like, really being consciously aware of like environmental or whatever, because I never thought about it's bad for the environment or there's people out there that don't have water or whatever. It just, for me, was like, it's a waste, it's just a waste.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. Now I'm getting curious if other people with this gift, if they do the same. like with things that are, in our opinion, are wasted somehow, that you're like, wait, you can do it different and not waste the water, the electricity, or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Funny. That's funny because I was always bitching about it. I was always like, come on, turn it off, man.
Yeah,
And he was like, why? I said, well, why? You're not using it, that should be sufficient. I don't need an explanation because it's bad for whatever. No, it's a waste point. There's no whole story to it. There could be a story to it, of course, but there's no story to it. So that's funny. That's funny. I didn't think about that one. And another thing that came up for me that I want to ask you is that, because I'm not a parent, and I had the question because I was talking a couple of weeks ago also about the gift of responsibility with someone. And that person said to me, yeah, but wait a minute, I am responsible for my children. And I actually I didn't know what to say at that point because I was like, I don't know, I don't have children, so I don't know how that would be applied when you have children. I when I just put my mind to it, I can get, when they're young and they cannot make decisions for themselves just yet, that you are, as a parent, are responsible. But I would say even when they're little, up until a certain point, because when you would always take the responsibility, they won't learn that they are responsible for the choices that they are making, even when they are little already. There's decisions, there's consequences for those decisions. So I'm really interested to hear from you as a parent, how what do would you say about that? The responsibility as a parent combined with this gift of being responsible.
yeah. I would. I did it. I don't did it. I didn't do it the right way. So, but if I know now, I would say to people, you have a very good, good potential because you have the gift of responsibility. So you are very good able to show your children their responsibility. So you can use that to do that with your children. And of course, like you said, but that is a different story. But you can be aware that you can use this gift to show them their responsibility. And by doing that, by doing that, you will teach your children something very important because um, it will help them in their lives a lot. Because the more you show them, the more the stronger and the stronger and more and more, and they can stay more closer to themselves because they get stronger by that. If you the more you know your responsibility, the more aware you get, and the more aware you get, the more aware you get. Yeah, the more aware you will be about who you are as a person, and what and cause and effect. Because for I believe, and I'm not the only one I know, but I believe that for the present time and for the future, a new way of raising children would be cause and effect. I always raise my children like that. I have a very good example. An example is I have in the kitchen we have a closet, and I put the candy over there, and there's a lock, but I never closed the door. I never locked it, and I never told my children you are not allowed to eat candy. No, I didn't say you can eat it now and then. No, I I told them, there is candy over there. And I can tell you, if you eat too much candy, your teeth can fall out, or you can become very big. Anyway, or your sugar or whatever, it can happen. So do whatever you like to do. Do whatever you like to do, but be, just experience it or not. I don't care. Don't bother me with that because I told you. And for the rest of it is you. So this is, but in this example, I did the right thing, also with the responsibility. I did so many things, not the right thing, but anyway. But on this way, I did it. So cause and effect, and they sometimes they especially my the youngest, the boy, my son, he has also the free in his profile. My daughter, she does not have that. She's not experienced, and she does not have the six either. So she's not she's not experiencing. She's not an example by experience. Yeah.
No, not learning by
Yeah, she's
experience.
not learning by. Thank you. She's not learning by experience. So, but my son is. So because he has the free, he has the same profile as you. The
One
so
free.
anyway, yeah, the one free, yeah. So I could see that because my daughter, she never tried and she never experienced it. So she was quite sensible about this, and she never tried to eat many candy. But my son, of course, he did, and sometimes he must have feel noxious or whatever. At one point, he stopped with doing it, so I guess he learned by experience. And then and if I ask him now, he's not eating a lot of candy anymore. No, he's not. For me, so this is for me as a kind of how you can use your gift of experience. Sorry, a gift of responsibility to teach your children.
But can you also share like the things that you didn't do in flow and what
Oh
was
yeah,
the result of that?
yeah, of course, of course. Because yeah, yeah, of course. Then it will be again with my son, but I have to explain a little bit because now I know why I did it. Um, like I said, my son has the free in his profile, and so do I. And I really experienced a lot of things in my life, and a lot of things actually were not nice due to not living my my responsibility, but also not my
Energy.
inner authority or my energy field. I'm not too pity, but I know now I didn't do that a lot. So if I don't do that a lot, the experiences, the things that you experience will be a lot harder, a lot more difficult than when you are living your energy field. It would be much more nicer. But anyway, that's so I had a lot of experiences who were not nice. So you can say that I have a lot of conditioning on experiencing. So I tried. So I found out I tried to keep that away from him. I try to nurture him more and try to avoid the experiencing because I didn't want him to have this also the bad experiences. And and that is for a one free is really not good.
No.
Really not good. Anyway, so so I took responsibilities from him. I started to nurture him to, yeah, we. to nurturing me. I overdo it, and I started to polish his path, and somehow you get spoiled children. He was kind of spoiled in some kind of way, not in everything, but some kind of way. And I can show, and now he is in his 20, he's 20 years old, and I see something. Yeah, I can see sometimes that, yeah, he misses somehow a little bit more responsibility. Like, if he's not doing the dishes, if he's somewhere else, if he's with his sister, he sits on his chair and he's watching people doing all the stuff, and he's not saying like, oh, let me do this or let me do that. And I have a feeling it's not, of course, totally because of my nurturing, overdoing nurturing, but I can say, if I would show more showed him more his responsibility, like, it's your, like I did today, guys, I did today. So it's never, I'm never, you are never too old to learn. And I did it very right this today, because he shaved and he didn't clean the sink, so in the bathroom. And I walked in, I entered the bathroom, I saw that, and I don't like it. Normally I would have cleaned it, but now I know. And I went to his room. He was working, but I went to his room, and because he's staying for a few days now with me, and I'm very happy. Anyway, that's a different story. So I went to his room and I told him, can you please clean the sink when you're done working? Yeah, yeah, of course, mom. Of course, of course. So this is, and then he did. Of course, he did. You only have to, you know, tell him. So this is kind of an example what I really didn't do very good, and it's okay. I'm learning.
Exactly, there's no right or wrong. It's just more to get more awareness, because one of the things for me with this gift in children is what I observe, because, like I said, I don't have children myself, but I did it myself. So that's something that I recognize, is that when something happens in life, or you go through something like this typical day to day stuff, that I did it and I saw it around me happening, that no, he didn't do it, or no, she was like this, or she, so we're starting the blame game. And for me, now I get to get more inside knowledge, like, wait, it's also connected, in my opinion, to this responsibility gift, because um, when we try to blame someone else, we don't take responsibility
Yeah,
for our part in what happened.
yeah,
And like you said, when we would raise our children in a different way, learn from like a young age already that there's consequences to decisions that are made, then and taking responsibility for that decision that was made. For example, one child hits the other child and the other child hits back. It's cause and effect immediately, yeah, but he did it. No, he did. No, you slapped him, so he slaps you back. And I won't say that it's good to hit each other, but there's a cause and there's an effect. And then they started blaming, no, but he did it or he did that. And if I see it like in business and in work environments, how many times I heard colleagues, and even I did it, I'm human, like, no, 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 it's not me, he didn't do that, and that's why I couldn't do this. So we're always shifting the responsibilities to someone else, but we don't take responsibility for our part in whatever is happening. And when I can completely see it in front of me that if everybody is learning from young age that, the decisions you make or the things you do is only your responsibility and nobody else's, it's different. It's way more clear also about what's going on and how it feels. And because blaming and putting responsibility for your decisions in someone else's hand, it blurs the, I would say in English, it muddies the water. Whereas
Yeah,
crystal clear water, but then you start blaming and whatever, and then there's mud coming into the water and it gets unclear and you don't see the bottom anymore. um, so yeah, I would. Do you incorporate this in your book too?
I guess so. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think I will. There are so many things I have to tell, but yeah, of course, I already did. I already wrote about cause and effect and their own responsibility. But I have to tell you, Mariska, you were talking about your you want to do the workshops and yeah, with people to finding their love and but then I think your gift of responsibility is can be very handy because I think if you yeah, and I experience this also with my own work. I empower people and children and adolescents, but also adults. And yeah, the way I see it is if you are working with them, you can listen to the story, like actually what you just mentioned is you can see this in this way because of this gift, because you can listen to it, but you can identify the story and you can say no, this is the story. You 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 slept, you were hitting this child, so I'm sorry. You can cry and you are allowed to cry in front of me, but I'm not telling you that I feel sorry for you because I know inside, in deep in your heart, you want me to feel sorry for you because you are hurt because that other child hit you. But I have the feeling and I believe in it. I believe that by having this gift of responsibility, I'm able to oversee that and to say, really to say, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know you are hurt and it hurts. But sorry, but if you, for the first time, you didn't hit that child, you wouldn't be hit and then you would not have the pain. So maybe you should think about it next time. And if you do, you want pain or not? And especially when you know you have a child with a free in the profile, you can start saying, "What did you learn from this? How? What did you learn from this?" Yeah, I learned from this that I do something, and if I do some, if I hit someone and they love themselves enough, they hit back. So yeah, I I am responsible of my own pain, and then I can cry, of course, but I'm only able to cry of the pain, but not of the cause of the pain. Yeah,
Yeah,
that is my own responsibility.
yeah. I actually had a conversation just before this session with a friend of mine, and I had an extensive about taking responsibility for your own life and own decisions that you make, and that you're only can be responsible for yourself, and coming, setting your boundaries, or in relationship, because she's experiencing seeing some issues with a guy she met, and that's actually because I am experiencing, those things too. I could tell her in example form, like, okay, this is how it showed up in my life, this is how I dealt with it. And then she was like, oh, wait, yeah, 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 that's true, actually. I need to be responsible for my own happiness. I cannot put it on him if he makes me happy. No, I have to decide that for myself and take that responsibility for myself. So, yeah, I believe that, people with this gift are definitely here to help, at
Yeah,
least get other people to see better, like, okay, how can you take
yeah,
that responsibility for your own life,
yeah,
and yeah, accountability also. For me,
yeah.
responsibility and accountability are very closely
Mhm.
related to each other. And yeah, I noticed that when I look back in my life, both I had big issues with, and probably because of the whole 1-3, because the trial and error. I needed to literally find out for myself,
Yeah,
experience it, to get to understand how it works. I don't know how it will work for other profiles that don't have the tree in it, because for me it's so normal that I cannot even imagine that it's not in your life. But there's profiles that don't experience life like that. So would be maybe interesting to maybe at some point ask others who
yeah,
have the same gift but a totally different profile, how that would be for
yeah,
them. I'm curious, because yeah, we need to do it trial and error, trial and error, trial and
yeah,
error, and we learn by that. But like you said, your daughter doesn't have a tree in her profile, and was already approaching things with the candy in a different way than your son. So that's also interesting. There's so many layers to the
yeah.
to that
And
gift.
she does take her own responsibility, but I want to, if it's okay, I want to tell another example of what we can do. It's a very beautiful example what we can do, and it's a different angle. It was also with my son, and my son was bullied a lot of times in his when he was younger, and it was the deepest point of it all was on his birthday. It was heartbreaking, believe me, and we had a very nasty and terrible. It was awful child, but for me, he facilitated my son. So now I'm more neutral about it. But anyway, on his birthday, this other guy punched my son in his really badly in his stomach, and he was like he had a lot of pain, and my son didn't do anything. Anyway, so about the responsibility, then I when then from on that point I was telling my son because he was crying, he was very miserable, and I already as a mother I saw him. He was very like this in life, and he was not very secure. He didn't showed up to be secure about himself or
Confident.
confidence. Yeah, yeah, he was not very confident. So I told him, okay, I told him, one moment, we cannot change other people. We only can change ourselves. We cannot change this guy from next door of bullying other people, but we can change you. And we start to do now because you are hurt and he's making your life miserable. So you take responsible now yourself. We stop blaming the other one. Of course, he was not nice, of course, but it is also very important to know that if you have a different energy, if you are more confident and you are more with you and you are stronger, and nobody even starts to think about hitting you or doing whatever. But if you are going like this in life, it is like a prey, you know. They want to eat you. So I started to tell him from, all right, we are going to take the responsibility ourselves now, and we can go to for help, a psychologist, or I can do. No, no, he told me, Mama, I want you to do it. So we started for a few years. We started a whole yeah. I did a lot of things for him, but anyway, I from that moment we took the responsibility, and so you can tell this is a slightly different angle from what I was mentioning before. But if you are trying to no, not helping, but to guide other people, like we do a lot, you and I, then we can stop. We can not say that we can stop saying that the other one, or it doesn't need to be only to be people, but also events or what things that happen in life. You can blame it, of course, and they have all the right. My son had all the right to blame him, because it really, and even now in this time of the whole world, we can blame the world, we can blame a lot of people of things that happen, because the things that happen are terrible. But somehow we can take our responsibility and say, okay, I cannot change them, but I can change myself, and I can change the way I look at things, or the way I look at myself, or the way I just be, myself. So somehow I can start taking this my own responsibility, and be me. And if I have my responsibility and I am me, yeah, then you will find your life completely changed. And yes, you are, and I'm not saying that you are wrong if you are crying or if you are blaming them. You are right, but it doesn't help you. It doesn't make your life better by complaining. It makes your life better if you take your life and you be your own driver, and take your responsibility and make and change yourself, so it will not happen again anymore. Of course, I can't change at the moment. I cannot change right now the way the world is now. Of course, I can't. But the way I see it is, the whole thing, everything that happens now is for a reason. And I took my responsibility. I said, okay, I stop blaming everybody, and I stop feeling sorry or whatever. I stopped at I'm stopping. Uh, yeah, I don't want to comply anymore with the old world. I stop with that. I take my responsibility and I go my own path. I create now. I'm more and more every day, more and more. I create my own world, and yeah, you hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, we are dying, and we really want the new world going to happen." Yeah, and it's only going to happen if we are taking our responsibility and just shifting our way of focusing on what we want and not what we don't want.
No, but that's interesting what's happening right now because a lot of people want things to be different, but then they are sitting leaning back and they're waiting for other people to change it. And I'm like, yeah, well, if you're waiting, you'll never ever will things change. You know, you
No,
have
but
to.
I can't blame them. I can't blame them because it's very hurtful. It is terrible what's going on. So I cannot blame them, but it is for
I'm not
them
blaming
better.
them. I'm not blaming them. I'm
No,
only
no, I'm not
saying,
saying
oh,
that you
okay,
blame them. No, no,
because
no,
I'm
I'm not
saying like
saying.
that's you need to take
No,
the responsibility for your own
yeah,
life. And where at least in Holland, that's my experience was very much that, the government also took away those decisions for yourself because we were pampered as in Holland, oh, you don't have a job, oh, here you get money. Oh, you don't have that, oh, we give you money. Oh, so people weren't brought up in an environment that they are responsible for, their own life and how it's looking. And of course I use it, so I'm grateful that it was there, but in a way it also makes us lazy in the sense that, oh, you don't need to, or it could possibly make us lazy, like, oh, if I don't do that, oh, the government is taking care of me. And um, I think that there needs to be more like a balance in that, and we went overboard with it, or at least in Holland, I think we went overboard with it after the war, after the Second World War, because all of a sudden, everything was taken care of for you. The government made it happen for you, and well, we know what it is right now. There's a lot of rules and regulations just to keep all those things happening and afloat, but it is also very has become very constrictive. So now people are not thinking for themselves anymore, not taking responsibility for themselves anymore because, well, the government does it for us, doesn't it? Oh, no, they're not. Oh, but what do I do now? And I think and it has to happen because people need to, become aware of, wait, if I'm waiting for the government to take care of me and the government is saying, no, we're not taking care of you anymore, or only in the way that we want to take care of you, and that's maybe not the way you want to be taken care of, yeah, then it's getting a little bit iffy. Like, oh, wait, then it's starting to, create discontent and stuff like that. So I think it's a very interesting time that we see a lot of things concerning responsibility going on in the world. And yeah, it's a good time to learn from it at least. But yeah, like you said, we are trees, and or we have a tree in the profile. So for us, it is, we are supposed to learning from it because we're experiencing it. And I actually don't know how it would show up for the other profiles. Um, of course, when they have the gift, then they will be inherently experiencing things in life that has to do with responsibility. But yeah, it's an interesting topic. It's an interesting topic. But I think yeah, it's already 2 o'clock again. Time flies when you're in flow, it flies. When not in flow, it takes a long time.
oh yes.
For people, I wanna, well, we're gonna stop at this point, and I want
Yeah,
to point out for everybody that if you wanna look at some testimonials, because we have published a couple of testimonials on the YouTube channel, so go there to the YouTube channel YOUnique Research and check out the testimonials. They're very interesting and get to know our peers a little bit more because the testimonials are from our peers that are probably being published right now. So yeah, get to know them a little bit better, learn from them or hear from them what the purpose paper did change in their lives and how it contributed to a lot of new things happening in their lives. And we will see you next week. Thank you, Chris, and
thank you.
bye bye.
Bye.